The issue is we have the keys and the door's locked. Just give her the keys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to do. And truly the most difficult part of my job, like at the beginning, I would have said, oh, it's like everything I need to teach them and make sure that it's palatable and make sure that they feel supported to continue on after they graduate. That's probably what I would have said in the beginning. And now it's more like, how do I affirm these women so they know that they can do anything they want?
Kelly Ross. So I usually start with an icebreaker question, but I have something better for you. The last time I saw you, you were on your way to go to a friend's birthday trip to camp out on a volcano.
True.
Tell me about that experience. I don't think we ever talked about it.
Yeah, so one of my girlfriends said, I'm going to turn 35, and when I wake up the morning of my birthday, I need to be on a volcano. And I said, okay, bet, let's do it. So she said, will you go with me? Mm-hmm. And I'm a yes girl. So I said, of course I'll go.
Yes.
But you have to get to the top of the volcano.
Right.
And you have to use your own body to get up there. Mm-hmm. And so we climbed this volcano, and it was extremely difficult. It's a 14er. So it's a very tall
What does
volcano.
that mean? Like 14?
It's 14,000 feet.
14,000 feet. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so the grade was like 40 to 60% grade for 5 hours. Oh, it was excruciating. So we get to the top. Well, we get to base camp, which I think was like 13,000 feet or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then it was otherworldly because we're standing up there and the fog rolled in, so we couldn't really see a lot. And we start hearing thunder. And I'm like, oh, great, is it going to rain? Because we were there during the rainy season, and that would just be miserable because we were in these like really rudimentary cabins, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're standing there, listening to the thunder, and then the fog and the clouds roll away, and we can see another neighboring volcano, which was the active one. And we quickly realized that wasn't thunder. That was the volcano rumbling.
Oh my gosh.
And once the fog rolled away and it was dark and you could see it erupt and you could see the lava shoot like hundreds of feet up into the air and then fall down. And it was like a spiritual experience to be that close to that power and that energy.
Could you feel the heat?
No, we were far enough away, but we had a very clear view of it.
So how active is that volcano? Like
it went off like it was going off like, I don't know, maybe once every 30 minutes, once an hour, but it hadn't. I think the last giant or big enough eruption that it could kill people was in like 2017 or something. And it wasn't a major eruption, but there were people on the volcano at the time because you can get fairly close to it, which we didn't. And then, but like a big eruption where it like disrupts life around the volcano, I think that was in the 80s.
Okay.
So the risk was fairly low.
But, okay, so so how do I phrase this? It doesn't like erupt like every night.
It does.
That one does.
Yeah. Yeah. Just continuously, which all in all, I mean, I don't study volcanoes, but I feel like that's a good thing because that's releasing continuous pressure.
Versus building up and then having a huge like
right
eruption. Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense. Huh. I feel like I need to do that now.
It was exquisitely beautiful. And it was actually quite cheap. Honestly, it was inexpensive. And we booked one where, so you get a pack, you bring all your stuff, but you don't have to bring a sleeping bag. You don't have to bring a tent. So you carry up your food, and then they drive up like 3/4 of the way your big backpack with like all your clothes, change of shoes, whatever. And then you have to carry your backpack and the day pack for the last like quarter of the trip, which was a lot. So you had like a front backpack strapped on you and then your big hiking backpack on the back. Mm-hmm. But all in all, it wasn't bad because we were with a a tour that did that, and they carried the water because you're drinking water the whole time, and water is super heavy.
Yeah.
There were other tours that we'd pass by, and they were carrying everything. They had like their tent and their sleeping bag and their liters of water strapped to them, because you need to carry like 3 to 5 liters for just this overnight trip. And so, yeah, I told my girlfriend, I'm like, I'm not sleeping outside. I'm not carrying a tent. Like, be realistic here, okay?
Yeah, I'm Kelly Ross.
No, I have a bad knee, okay?
Oh, my bad.
No, I've been 85 since I was like 23. So,
oh man,
yeah,
that's wild. I feel like I want to do that too, but I would have the same things. Like I'm not sleeping outside like that. Like no.
Well, and it's cold. Like the temperature was like 35, 40 degrees.
Yeah, because you're elevated so high.
Yeah. And so you start at the bottom, and you're wearing like, you could wear like shorts and a tank top, and you're just sweating. But then after an hour, like you start adding more layers, and you get to the very top, and you have like a heavy coat and mittens and a hat and everything.
That's wild. Was it just of you, or did you guys have other friends that
we had a third friend too? Wow. It was 3 of us ladies, yeah. What
an experience to wake up on a volcano on your 35th birthday.
Yeah. It was cool. It was cool. She's an amazing friend to have, because she has desires like that. Like, I want to wake up on a volcano. And I'm like, okay, I'll go with then, I guess.
And that's
I have boring dreams. So.
Well, that's not something I would think about. And the fact that you say you're a yes girl, like
I am, yeah.
For friends like that, man, I wish I had more friends that were like adventurous like that. Because I feel like some of my friends are like, oh, let's do this. And then the closer it gets, like people start kind of like dropping off or canceling or things like that.
I am not. If I say yes,
you're
yes.
in it. You're in it.
Yeah, I do not. I never, like even like meetings, like work meetings, I cancel like once a year. Like I don't cancel. If I cancel, something's either I'm really sick or something really bad has happened.
But you're very committed.
I'm so committed.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's just easier.
So Kelly, you were named Lincoln's Young Professional of the Year for 2024. For 2024 for the YPG Awards. Me and Toot won in 2022, which was so cool. But
I'm so honored to follow in your footsteps.
Oh,
genuinely.
You won, like, you got the big thing. We were kind of just like, a few steps down.
It's weird. It's weird.
But you do a lot of amazing work in the community, and you do a lot of creative things that haven't been done before in the community. But we're going to talk about all of that. But one thing I wanted to talk about, just to give a little intro for the people watching, long intro after talking about the volcano and everything. So Kelly Ross is the founder and executive director of Echo Collective, a nonprofit organization based here in Lincoln, Nebraska, dedicated to empowering refugee and immigrant women through entrepreneurship and textile artisanship. So cool. So cool. Tell me a little bit about yourself. You grew up here in Lincoln, right?
I did, yeah. I grew up south of Lincoln in Hickman.
Okay.
Yeah, a town of, at the time it was 2,000. I think it's grown quite a bit. But yeah, so a small city. I was homeschooled. So pretty quiet. I mean, you could use the word sheltered if you want to. Quiet, sheltered life.
Do you have siblings?
I do. I have a younger brother and a younger sister.
Okay. And you were homeschooled all the way through?
No, I was homeschooled from 4th grade to 10th grade.
Ah, okay. So where'd you go to high school then?
I started out at Norris, and then I ended at Norris.
Okay. How was that transition?
Brutal.
Really?
Yeah, on the way out, because I didn't want to be homeschooled. I loved school, like everything about school, right? So that was really hard. It was a loss, and I grieved the loss of my school environment by being a raging child for like a full year. My poor mother.
This was after she pulled you to be homeschooled?
Yeah. Oh, I lashed out for like a year. I was so mad. But then I got involved in all of these different programs and choir and drama and met a bunch of other homeschool kids. So I developed a community again.
Sure.
And then when I went back my junior year, which was my decision, because I felt like I was missing out. It's serious FOMO. I'm like, I'm not going to get to experience like the quintessential American high school.
Yeah.
So I went back junior year and I fed myself to the wolves. And
just
like,
did anything and everything you could?
I genuinely didn't understand that people would be mean to you for no reason. I was that naive. I thought people need to be have a reason to be mean to you. But people would just like never met me before, didn't even know my name, just would be mean to me, right? So it was really good for me. Like it prepared me for
life.
College.
Yeah.
And life. Yeah. But it was really difficult.
And then you went to UNL, right? Mm-hmm. What did you study?
Spanish.
¿Habla español?
Un poquito, sí.
Oh, okay.
Podemos hablar en español.
Oh, estoy aprendiendo porque mi español no fue muy buen. It's not that good. It's not that good.
Are you actively learning right now?
So I have these spurts where I'm like super dedicated because I speak Arabic fluently. Right. So I have these spurts where I'm like super dedicated to learn like other languages. So there was a time when I was I speak Arabic fluently, but I don't know how to like read or write it. Mm. So there was a time when I was taking every day an hour of Spanish, an hour of French, and an hour of Arabic to learn to read and write it.
Wow.
I did that every day for like 3 months. And I'm just like, this is unsustainable.
Yeah, I mean, 3 languages at one time is a little
on top
ambitious.
Of everything else I was doing.
Yeah.
You know, like, it was crazy.
Do you speak Arabic with an American accent?
I don't know. My sister tells me
I could tell you. Because I know I have 3 goddaughters and they're Iraqi.
Okay.
Actually, the oldest one, she's worked, I think, at her accent. Yeah. But the youngest two, oh my gosh, they speak it's like Valley Girl Arabic. Like the accent is brutal. Like, and I don't speak enough Arabic to know if you can understand them well. I assume you can, but yeah, the accent is like not great.
But the other thing too is like that's Iraqi Arabic. So like there's this thing called Arabi Juba, which is like what we speak in South Sudan.
Sure.
And so it's not very. I call it like the broken Arabic of that, like, you know. But a lot of the words are the same. Many are different, you know, and just like phrases and stuff like that. But yeah, I went through this spurt of like ambitiously trying to learn multiple languages and I got burned out. I mean, the schedule was I would get up at like 5:45, have Arabic at 6 a.m. to 6:50. Then like
where?
So there's this app called Preply, not sponsored, but it could be. It's called Preply and it's where people can go on and offer language classes like tutors.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So where was your tutor from?
Egypt.
Ah, cool.
And we've become pretty good friends. And I've since like stopped the Arabic lessons like months ago, but we talk on like WhatsApp and Instagram and stuff like that. Like,
I love that.
Yeah. So it's a really cool way to connect and meet people. And everyone that I tutored with was probably the exact same age as me, besides the French guy. So the Spanish tutor and the Arabic tutor were my same age.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really fun.
I was taking Arabic. Well, I took 1.5 years of Arabic through the University of Nebraska. And then I took a summer session through an organization called Rabata. They're in, I think they're in Michigan. You have to look that up. And then I took 5 weeks just recently over the holiday break with a woman living in Egypt, but she's from Palestine.
Wow.
So yeah, that was really cool. But then I've really jumped back into my Spanish learning experience. So I'm taking 6 credit hours right now through UNL and SCC.
Kelly.
Well, so I have a degree in it.
Yeah.
I can read and write like well enough. Read is fine. And listening, like I understand what you're saying.
Cool.
99%.
So what I said was completely like messed up, right? Like I butchered.
But I understood.
Yeah.
I understood you have to realize, like, Jazari, I work with people who are learning English. So
yeah.
you really don't have to have anything correct for me to understand what's going on. But, anyway, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
So you're taking 6 credit hours at UNL and SCC and you've dove in.
Oh, yeah. Because the State Department gave me a call a couple months ago and they said, hey, we would like you to be a part of our U.S. Speakers Program, where it's essentially where U.S. embassies around the world reach out to the US and they're like, hey, you know, like in Germany, for example, and we're doing a symposium on entrepreneurship or microenterprise or something like that. And we're looking for someone from the US to come in and speak to our dignitaries, our academics, whatever. And so then the State Department will fly me there. And then I'll get someone from the embassy to take me around and take me sightseeing.
That's why. Where is it? Where is it again?
Wherever. It's through the State Department. So any country with a good relationship with the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's driven by the embassies within those countries, the U.S. embassies within those countries. And so she asked me, she said, would you ever be comfortable presenting in Spanish? And I'm like, okay, well, not yet. So that's like my goal. That's why I'm like really trying to get to a point where I could present in Spanish, because there are some places that don't provide an interpreter, and the places that don't provide an interpreter are usually Spanish-speaking countries, which I respect. I respect that. So yeah, if I get to that point, then I'd be able to go to those countries.
So in presenting, like give a presentation?
Or speaking on a panel, something like that.
I was going to say like a presentation you can like prepare for, you know, like.
Yeah, but if there's a Q&A.
Well, yeah. That's going to be awesome. So when is that? Like, is that kind of just whenever you decide
like
to...
I'm on their list, and so they'll just reach out and say, hey, we want you to go to Bolivia in 6 weeks. Can you make it? Yeah.
It's a one-time thing?
What do you mean?
Like,
No, I'm forever on the list.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm on the list.
That sounds like quite an elite list. So, I mean, like, in terms of, like...
It's confusing. It's so amazing it's confusing, right?
Yeah, so it's like...
You're like, what's the catch?
Yeah, what is the catch?
I don't know yet.
You said sign me up.
I was confused when I was speaking with the representative or the employee, because she just was listing out everything. And I said, well, you know, how do I apply?
Like, what do you want me to do?
Or, yeah, what does the vetting process look like? And she's like, oh, we already vetted you. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, yeah, this is the U.S. government, girl.
Yeah. And she's like, you don't have to apply. Like, you're in. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Probably because, like, obviously your work and the things you have done and stuff. So I think that definitely played a huge factor into it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you know, you're helping immigrant and refugee women like become settled in America and like uplifting and empowering them. So that's a really cool.
It really is a kismet thing, you know, because of course, yes, I've done things that are amazing and I should share with the world, but I'm not the only one that's doing amazing things.
Yeah.
A lot of us are. And it just happened that I caught the eye of this person at the State Department through actually someone at the university referred me to the State Department. So it was through her taking the initiative to refer me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So things just lined up.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing. I love that for you. That's so cool.
Yeah. I don't believe it's real yet. Like, until I take my first trip, I'm like, this was a really great thought exercise about what a perfect life would be like.
Okay, so where would you want to go? Like, what Spanish-speaking country are you?
Oh,
like,
anywhere.
Anyone? I mean, there's not one really that's like, I would really love to go there.
Of course, I would love going to a Spanish-speaking country and presenting.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, that would be very edifying, because it'd be edifying, and it would really help push my sympathy towards the women I work with, push it in slightly into empathy territory, because obviously I'm not moving there, I'm not leaving everything behind, but at least being super uncomfortable trying to communicate in another language, like that'll be really great for me. I'm also looking forward to just like kicking my feet back and receiving like the ultimate, you know, like gift by just like going to
experiencing that,
Japan and having a Japanese interpreter, going to Germany, having a German, which I guess they wouldn't need to do that. They just speak English to me, but better English than I could speak.
Oh, that's awesome. What inspired you to study Spanish at the university?
That's a really good question. And I think it was just me following my passion for language. I'm a very curious person, and I'm also someone who likes to mimic. So if I see someone do something fun or cool or interesting, then I'm like, oh, I want to try that.
Yeah.
And so language is one of those things that I'm fascinated by it. I love culture. I love learning about how people think and how they value, how they align their values, how they prioritize different parts of their life. So I think that's how I ended up in Spanish. And for me, like, Spanish was the closest language. Like, it was the one that was least different, I guess.
Yeah. Because, I mean, like, it's the same letters, right? Like, but the nice
and a lot of high schools have, like, Norris only had, when I was going there, Norris only had a Spanish class. And when I was homeschooled, we had like a co-op situation where they'd bring in professionals to teach subjects that, like, the parents were like, I'm not going to touch that. So, like, you know, chemistry and speech and physics and all that stuff. And so Spanish was one of them. And that was like the only language option. So I guess I took it knowing you have to have 4 years to get into a university, but then I quickly just fell in love with it, I think.
That's amazing. I love that. So, okay, let me get back on track. We're already off track. So, no, I mean, it's great. It's great. I only have like 25 questions for you.
Okay.
And we're on question 3.
We started early, so
we did.
We can run an hour and a half over.
For sure. So before founding Echo Collective, you worked as a caseworker, a paralegal, right? And an instructor. What do you say would be the number one things that you learned from each of those roles that shaped what you're able to do with Echo Collective today?
The first thing that I did that aligns with my career now out of college was teaching English. And I had no idea what I wanted to do. And like 6 months before I was supposed to graduate with a degree in Spanish that I wasn't even fluent enough in to, like, really do anything with, I was panicking, looking over my resume, and I thought, I don't have a lot of volunteering on here. Like, I had some, like, religious volunteering, but at that time I'd kind of left that part of my upbringing, and so it's not something I really want to put on my resume. So I'm like, I need just like non-denom volunteering on my resume. And so they had an opportunity to teach English to adults, assist an instructor doing that at a local elementary school. And I remember I was so nervous the first day because I knew there would be Muslim women there. And I grew up in an environment where the way you choose to cover your body as a woman signals your worth. And I didn't align with that anymore. And my perception of how Muslim women choose to cover themselves, I aligned that with my upbringing, with my religious understanding. And so I thought, I'm like, what do I wear? How tight can my clothes be? Like, I was overanalyzing everything. And then I show up and I quickly find out that they don't care. You know what I mean? Like, they don't care. And so that was surprising to me because I grew up in an environment where, like, everyone cares about what you're wearing and treat you accordingly. And then the more I grew to know and love and become friends with women who follow the Islamic tradition, I realized that, oh, it's different. They're choosing to cover themselves actually for different reasons. It's not exactly tit for tat, how I grew up.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I'd say I started out with that. And then once I graduated, I was eligible to start teaching on my own. And I mean, that was just like, I had no intercultural experience really. Like, the most I had was with people from Mexico, but I didn't have like really any other country. And so that was a big learning curve for me, just learning about other cultures and adjusting my communication. But one thing I really noticed was that the women were craving relationships with American-born people and or people who had been in the U.S. long enough where you'd been kind of like Americanized and you knew the rules of the road. But the ability for them to make those relationships was completely out of their hands because people saw them as others. People saw them as, oh, you're a refugee, you're an immigrant. I'm not really interested in being friends with you because you're like so different.
Right.
And so I started creating relationships within the women that I was with, and that was transformative. Like, I saw how their lives changed and how their attitudes and their emotional states were completely different because they had friends, right? So I learned that from my English teaching. I think I also learned a lot about communication. And then as a caseworker, that really affirmed the fact that I need to be working with people who are new to the U.S. and dealing with the challenges of that. I don't know why. I just have a very distinct interest and passion for working with people who are going through those struggles. It's interesting because I would have, papers come across my desk for a new client when I was a caseworker, and, their name would be like John Smith, and I'd be like, ugh, great, But like it'd come across my desk, and I'd be able to identify this is probably someone who's new to the U.S., and I'd be so excited to meet them. Like I couldn't wait, and I was so excited to meet them and talk to them. So that was very clear, like, Kelly, you need to be working with this population because that's where your heart lies, and that's where you're going to find like so much purpose in your work. And then
meaning.
Yeah. And then finally as a paralegal, I think with that, I learned a lot about immigration law, that's for sure. And then I think I kind of learned like how to be a professional, like how to operate in a buttoned up situation and how to do the corporate speak and
how to handle a crisis.
Maybe.
Wow.
And it really showed me what I was worth. Because I went in there and I was a really good worker. I didn't make mistakes. I had a pretty extreme workload and I always delivered. I never missed deadlines. And so that kind of showed me like, hey, you're good at what you do. Mm-hmm. You need to be in spaces where that's valued.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And never undercut your worth.
True. Mm-hmm. And lean into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Just be able to say, yeah, I'm really good at that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when was the defining moment that you decided to start Echo Collective? And I think we talked about this one time, a long time ago when you first started Echo Collective.
Yeah. Like over coffee or something?
No, it was in passing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just one of those like incredibly profound hallway conversations?
Well, yeah, because you were up here on this floor. For people who don't know, we work in the same building.
Yeah.
So like this studio is in the same building.
Yeah.
But we were talking about it, and you had just started it. You were doing something else before with another woman. Mm-hmm. And I forgot what the name of that was.
Tatonga Bamoy.
Yeah, Tatonga Bamoy. Mm-hmm. Right around the corner over there. So how did Echo Collective come about then?
So Tatonga Bamoy is a nonprofit that provides entrepreneurship solutions for women in the Democratic Republic of Congo in the northeast corner. And those entrepreneurship solutions really center around sewing artisanship. And so when I was working with Katie Patrick of Tatonga Bamoy, I saw what it looked like. I saw how entrepreneurship changed the lives of these women. Mm-hmm. And at the exact same time, when I was teaching English, I had one of my students come up to me and say, hey, can you help me start a business? Mm. So both of those things came together, and I realized, why don't we have that here? I was in a moment where I'd been casually writing curriculum for the different things that I'd been doing. Mm-hmm. So I felt confident in that. I felt confident starting a program all by myself. I felt confident with the idea of working with a nonprofit because of the work I was doing with Katie. So it kind of all came together. But the original idea was I was going to start an American wing under her nonprofit here. Okay. And then, so we fundraised for it. And then like August starts rolling up. I'm preparing to welcome women. It's 2020. Mm-hmm. We're preparing to welcome women masked, right, in our space. And it's August, and I'm standing at my bedroom window, and it's like 100 million degrees outside, and I'm standing there and the wind's blowing in. And Katie says, Kelly, I've been thinking about this, and like, I think you should start your own nonprofit. And we talked a little bit more about it. And as we talked, I realized, okay, yeah, that does make sense. It just makes sense with the geographic location, with what I wanted to do with it, with the fact that like Tatonga Bamoy, Katie has done such an amazing job because she has done what every nonprofit should do, and she solved the problem. Mm. And so now she's really more of like a capital infusion. where like they built this beautiful center to house the classes and a shop and everything in the DRC. But she's kind of hands off because they all run it there. Wow. And she's like, it just doesn't make any sense for us to wind this back up when you have such a vision for it. And you're going to be the one that is pulling in the long hours. So you should start your own. This is your own baby, essentially. And so I hung up the phone and I just started crying. Because it started out with like, oh, I have an overhead organization and it's well established. And I have a partner kind of, in Katie. And then she was like, and she basically said like, hey, baby bird, like you're ready. And just boop, like kicked me right out of the nest.
Wow.
That was a tipping point.
Wow. What was that process like with the nonprofit? Because you knew like you already knew the process, like getting a nonprofit started?
No.
Really?
No. I opened my laptop and I typed in, how do you start a nonprofit? Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Literally, that's what I did.
For real?
Yes.
Wow.
And then there's some things like the bylaws, for example. Katie was amazing. She's like, she put in so much work and spent a lot of time with a lawyer to draft her bylaws. She's like, just copy them. Like copy them, make sure that they align, of course, with your nonprofit, make sure that they're specific to your nonprofit. But
it was a
like,
template.
Yeah, she's like, use mine as a template. So like I had people in my life who knew enough where they supported me in those areas.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. I kind of did the same thing though, actually, with the nonprofit news outlet that I'm still in the process of doing and everything. But that's amazing. How long was that process for you to get like your nonprofit status and everything like that? Because that was in 2020, right?
Yeah, it
so
actually was.
Really back
yeah, well, so at the time, I'm like, this is just gonna be like a tiny little thing, and I'm obviously gonna work for free because I think I started out with like $5,000, which covered rent for the classroom, and one of the requirements when you apply for a nonprofit is there's two different forms you can fill out. One is like a short form and one is a long form. And the short form, you have to attest that you're not going to have receipts or revenue or income, whatever you want to call it, over $50,000 in each of the first 3 years of operation.
Okay.
And I'm like, there's no way. There's no way I'm ever going to get more than $50,000. Like that's bonkers. That's so much money. I can't even conceive. So I filed the short form. So I filed the short form in August. We were a 501c3 by October. Bada bing, bada boom. Got started.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we grew beyond our wildest dreams. So that was interesting.
What was the first year like?
The first year, like in terms of our growth?
Yeah, just like getting it off the ground, starting your classes, doing all of that. Like, what was that like, the whole experience like all together?
Well, it was during COVID.
Yeah.
So everyone was masked. Like our first graduation was something that I threw together like an iMovie, and then we debuted it. We made it go live on YouTube.
Yeah.
And all the ladies joined through a join link home with their families so they could celebrate.
Aww.
But it was pre-recorded, you know? So it was very distant. And then going into 2021, we delayed the ladies starting with me, and so then they didn't graduate until August because things were just so uncertain at that point. Mm-hmm. But then after that, after the first year, our third cohort started in fall of 2021, and after then it's been consistent, fall, spring, and we just graduated our 9th cohort, and our 10th started last month. No, we're still in January. It started 3 weeks ago.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, we've graduated 53 entrepreneurs. We have a wait list.
How long is your wait list?
Like a year, which is not good.
That's a good problem to have. That means clearly you're doing something that there's a need for.
Yeah.
And fulfilling that need and helping folks. But yeah. How big are the classes usually? We don't
go bigger than 6.
Okay.
We did do a class of 7, and that's a lot because, the eligibility for a class, you have to be able to speak English at an intermediate level. It can be low or intermediate. That's something that we just assess through interviews, really. Mm-hmm. And then you have to have either an idea to start a business with demonstrated skill to back it up, or you have to have a business already.
Yeah.
So truly the eligibility is pretty simple. So that means we have women who come in who like didn't start using technology until they came to the US 4 years ago. They'd never even touched a smartphone, to women who got a smartphone when they were 13. You know, women who have master's degrees, law degrees, women who are never even allowed to go to kindergarten. And so there's such a wide range of experiences that we cannot go over 6 because the individual time we invest is intensive.
Yeah.
Intensive.
Wow. And so it's like, how many months is each one? Like,
it's 16 weeks.
16 weeks.
And they meet 8 hours a week.
Okay.
So it's a pretty big commitment. And so how our classes are structured, we have like 54 topics. So we cover a lot. And then I think our curriculum is almost done. Like sometimes we add things in, but like we just added one on AI, right?
Because that's what's, AI. You know, taken off right now. Yeah.
So sometimes we add things, but it's getting pretty solid now.
Yeah.
But what it looks like is the first hour is usually spent doing big picture concept, talking about vocabulary, getting the women ready, and then we bring in an expert to talk about that topic. And what the expert does is, of course, it gives more, it like really builds out the idea and the lesson, but it also creates that connection. Because the last thing we want is for everyone to be like, oh, I have a finance question, I'm gonna ask Kelly. I have a marketing question, I'm gonna ask Kelly. You know, we need these people in the community who are willing to not only spend time with us for an hour a semester, but also be willing to like have a coffee or come back in for like a workshop to help the ladies tackle something, because we can't be everything to them, and that's not fair that we'd ever put them in that position where there's only one person to rely on.
Yeah, for sure. How has this changed you as a person? Like, how has your just like view of all of this changed in the, you know, the several years that you've been doing Echo Collective?
Yeah, I think like, so when I started Echo, I had been teaching English. I'd been working in the New American community for like 8 years. And so when I started Echo, I was so focused on, like, I'm so tired of people thinking that these women can't do anything or that they need, you know, they need us to swoop in and save the day. That is not the case at all. The issue is we have the keys and the door's locked. Just give her the keys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to do. And truly the most difficult part of my job, like at the beginning, I would have said, oh, it's like everything I need to teach them and make sure that it's palatable and make sure that they feel supported to continue on after they graduate. That's probably what I would have said in the beginning. And now it's more like, how do I affirm these women so they know that they can do anything they want? Because there's so many people telling them that they can't, and you're not enough to do this. And so it's me just every day striving to get them to a point where they recognize how incredible they are.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so if anything, it's just deepened my commitment to what I do. Because I've seen in the beginning, I thought, I think this can work and I believe in the tenets of this, but now I know it works.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to die on this hill. Okay. Like, I know it works. I've seen it work.
Wow. So what is the success story from Echo Collective? Like a success story. I mean, there's many success stories, but what is one that you think about often or that really like affirmed like the work that you do?
I'm pausing because
there's so many.
There's so many, and also telling someone else's story requires a lot of skill. Let me think of who I want to highlight. Okay, I'll highlight someone. She won't mind if I talk about her.
Okay.
Usually I try not to tell their stories. I try to put them in positions where they can tell their own stories.
Yeah.
Because again, it's that dignity thing. Like
For
they're
sure.
not things. They're women, and I don't want to talk about them. I want them to talk about themselves. So,
Right.
but I'm going to talk about one of them. So let's talk about Ro. I met Ro a couple years ago, and she had like a back room at a small salon, and she was doing like makeup and facials and getting into like microblading, like permanent makeup. And she came to me and she said, I want my business to grow. I want my business to grow bigger, and I need just some support doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I hear a lot. I hear women say, I just like need someone to support me do it. So I came alongside Ro, and she's like, okay, the first thing I need is I need a better space because I don't have a lot of room. It's not super ideal. So we moved her into a new space, and immediately she just like took off. Like her business grew rapidly. And last year, in 2023, in October, she's like, hey, I bought a building.
Seriously?
And I'm like, wait, what? Like, did you look at the finances? You know, I kind of got like nervous at first.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh.
Because I was like,
you
that's
bought
a big
building.
deal.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Holy cow.
Commercial real estate, like renting is a lot, but buying
Yeah.
one? Oh my goodness.
She's like, I bought a building and it has 6 suites in it, and I'm going to rent out 5 of them. And she did. She did. She's a total boss lady. She has a space on South 58th Street in the Trade Center. She bought that building. She's a landlord now. She has her own suite in there, but in 2 years she went from like a little back room in a salon to owning her own building. And all I really did was just like be there.
Was she a part of the cohort?
So,
or was that kind of like she reached out to you?
Yeah.
And was
So
like,
we have the cohorts, and then for women who really need fine tuning, or if they need language support, like they need an interpreter, that's where I will come along, and it's coaching. It's the same curriculum, but it's a little different format. And so Ro was one of my coaching clients.
Is that the refinery?
Yeah, the refinery is the name of our entrepreneurship program.
Okay.
Yep. And so the refinery has the classes, and then they have the coaching.
Gotcha.
But it's all the same curriculum. It's just we have a little different format to meet the needs of everyone.
Wow, that's amazing. So you kind of just like gave her advice, like, you know, like helped move her to another space. And from then she kind of just spread her wings and took off.
Yeah. And then another woman, her name, oh, by the way, Ro's business is called Ro Beauty.
Ro Beauty.
Ro Beauty. Look her up on Instagram. Both my eyebrows and my lips are tattooed, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. So you want to zoom in and check that out.
So,
check
okay,
out our
I've
work.
been seeing that a lot. Like, that's a new thing.
The
But,
lip
like,
blushing.
Yeah. They last,
Yeah.
like, what, 2 years?
I thought longer. Yeah. Yeah,
That's
but it's awesome. Like and she like kind of like redrew my lips a little bit too. It's astounding.
Was that nerve-wracking?
Once we figured out the numbing cream, no.
Well, I just mean, like, hey, like, you know, that's makeup being tattooed. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I think she has worn me down to the point where I'm like, meh. And I just, you know, sit in the chair and just let her go to town.
but I guess you could always, like, you could wear a different, like, shade, right?
Oh,
Like,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a really, I feel like it's a really natural color. And
That's
I
what
can
I was
wear
gonna say.
any shade over it. And
Yeah.
so, and
That's
I
kinda like,
trust her. I trust her with all of my beauty needs.
Yeah. That's a very, I woke up like this look.
Yeah, no, that's what I want.
You just roll out, you know?
I need to just roll out. Anything more is, I don't have time for that.
More simple, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So what was some of the challenges that you faced, like, building Echo? And, like, how did you overcome those?
I'd say the first challenge that probably relates to a lot of entrepreneurs is when you start something, the entire reputation rests on you. It's your reputation.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very nerve-wracking for me because I'd done my hardest to develop a good reputation in the community of someone who shows up and does good work. But when you put yourself on the line like that and ask people to believe in you, that is really nerve-wracking. And so I'd say, yeah, that was really difficult within the first year or two. I was like hyper obsessed with our reputation, both our reputation and getting the word out, which means I'm already a yes girl, but I said yes to everything. Like present to 4 people in a church basement, I'm there. Speak in front of 200 people at UNL, I'm there. Like whatever it is, I'm there because it's an opportunity for people who don't know about Echo Collective to learn more.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it's just also a lot of pressure because, I can't control what other people do. However, like as an example, if someone would graduate from our program and she would do something that, let's say she's on social media and she's taking pictures and the pictures are just like super ugly, or like something like that. People would say, wow, like that's Echo Collective didn't even help her, like show her how she's supposed to be doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Like it would come back on Echo. And so that's, I think, also why I've been really intent on being there for ladies because I want to make sure that people, even though I can't control what people do, Echo does change lives. Yeah. And in order for people to believe that, you kind of have to go overtime and make sure that what our ladies are doing is the best.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of work.
Right.
Especially when you have 53 graduates. It's like I'm like the Kris Jenner.
Yeah.
I have like all of these incredible women and I'm like trying to manage.
So do you still like keep up with them then? Or like,
oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you guys have the Echo shop downstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Echo Shop, which has now been renamed to Refined & Co. So that's downstairs. And then we have ongoing networking opportunities like 6 times a year. And then lifetime coaching. So a lot of times the women will come back for like the next step. And then we have, like little opportunities that we don't advertise, but we'll have like little micro grant opportunities and things like that. Where like, the Chamber of Commerce knows. They know what's going on, but we don't advertise it because it is a limited pool. But we still bring them back in and they're doing things like that all the time.
I will say the one thing I heard about you talk about on Toots podcast is like the whole self-care thing and that you just like go, and that's your version of self-care. Like immersing yourself in work.
Yeah.
But like how do you balance like that in like your life? I mean, it is your life. So like.
Well, okay. So one thing about the word balance. So if you think like, if I would tell you to like stand and balance on one foot, your body is continuously making little tweaks and movements to keep yourself in balance. Like it's not a static state. Balance is always, it's a fluid thing to be in balance where you're always giving and taking and moving things around. And so that's kind of how I treat it. I also just try to do things I like to do. So
like going and waking up on a volcano.
Waking up on a volcano. I try to say yes to great opportunities like that. And I'm just really fortunate, I think, because like if I were working as much as I do now, like as a paralegal at the immigration law firm I was at, oh my God, I'd be so miserable. I'd be so miserable. And so for me, I'm really fortunate that I found a job that I can grind at every day. And yes, there are days when I'm overwhelmed, but all in all, it's a pretty great existence.
Yeah.
So, but it really is give and take and understanding what I should say yes and no to. And I'm starting to do that more this year. I've actually already said no to a lot of stuff this year.
I'm glad you said yes to us.
I think I said yes to you last year, though.
Yeah, you did in December. So this has like been a month in the making.
Yeah. I still would have said yes, though.
I did tell you I had like everything planned out for this like a month ago. So I just clicked on my notes and here we are.
Yeah.
I'm a planner. Like I like to plan like things well in advance. And how do you manage that like with Echo Collective? Do you sit down and think like, okay, like, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now,
Yeah, in the beginning I didn't. In the beginning it was like, oh my God, like what do I need to do today? And then what do I need to do tomorrow? And I was not a dreamer. I was not a visionary. And
why?
I don't know. I wasn't, I was never a dreamer. But I've started being a dreamer because I've realized that if I dream, those dreams will become reality.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it. I've seen it with my ladies. They come in with the wildest dreams. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. And then they do it. And I'm like, maybe I should try this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like right now, my dream, I think 2 years ago, I started saying, I'm going to license this curriculum. I'm going to license a curriculum. I want to spread it across the nation. I want other people to do what's right for them using our curriculum. So I'm not franchising. There's not going to be little Echo Collectives all across the nation because that kind of sounds like a nightmare to me. I'd rather provide the tools and maybe even the technical support and then be like, all right, you got it. Like, your community, let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah.
And so I said that 2 years ago, and we're actually working right now. Like I've already met with people in the city for a local small town to do a pilot in the fall with our curriculum.
Here? Like, or in another location?
No, here, like a small town close to Lincoln.
Oh, okay.
And it's not official, so I'm like, I'm not going to say where it is, but
there's some stuff in the works.
Yeah. And I was dreaming for that because what I would love to do is I would, like, first of all, I want to get in an executive director who has lived experience. I want to get first gen, second gen in here who understands what it's like to live a life where you're balancing two different cultures and multiple languages and really understands the barriers that lie there. I want to bring someone in. I want her to be the next executive director. And I want to step into the founder role, which for me, when I dream about it, it's like the grandma role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you get the best of the best.
Right.
And so I want to travel around the nation helping people start entrepreneurship programs for women, for new American women. That's what I would love to do. And so we have our pilot coming up this fall, and they're going to, in exchange for this curriculum, which is something they've been wanting for years, they'll give me the feedback about like, this is what I need. These are the type of manuals, the SOPs, like all that. And so they'll give me that feedback. And then hopefully next year, so in 2026, we'll be able to go to our second site and then on from there.
Wow. That's very inspiring. Because I think back to like when I first met you in 2020 here and just seeing things grow.
Yeah.
For both of us, right? Like, and that's another thing too, like being a dreamer. Like, I think I had a lot of wild ideas too, and wanting to chase after them. I remember being stuck in corporate America, working with student loans.
Oh boy.
I did not like it.
Really?
No, I didn't. And I mean, like, I tried like at least 13 times to try to get promoted into like an analyst role, and nothing ever panned out. And I'm just like, I can't sit here doing quality assurance anymore, listening to calls, looking over accounts and paperwork. Like, I'm just not fulfilled, and the world changed in 2020, and that was kind of like the push that I needed. And I think what pushed me to kind of like leave that job, because I was still kind of like hanging on to it while I was like doing all of this stuff. When my dad got ill and passed, I remember going to the hospital one day, and then I went home and I woke up and I came here and I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, we don't have a lot of time on this earth, like life is extremely short. And I'm just like, like, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not happy there. I'm miserable, actually. I keep trying to move up. It's not panning out. Like, I think it's just time to let go.
Yeah.
Fired off an email saying I resigned. Like, within minutes, my computer was locked. Like, everything was closed. And I was just like, well.
You're done.
And I remember feeling like, a weight lifted off my shoulder. But since I'm a planner, I paid off my car. I saved up a year's worth of rent. Like, I like eliminated all my credit card debt. And I was like, okay.
That's impressive.
Like, did really hard to get to that. And I was just like, okay, I can leave this, and like, things are going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, things will work out. Like, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be cool. Like, it will all work out. I mean, it did. Like,
it did, yeah.
To some capacity, but yeah, that's wild. I mean, even like being in this place, I remember thinking like, because Matthew reached out to me on social media, and because I talked about it on a live stream, and this is when I was starting everything. I was making t-shirts off of my dining table, like, and stuff like that. And Matthew sends me a message on Facebook, and he was like, hey, like, I've heard you talk about wanting like some kind of studio office space, and here we are, and this is what we do. Introduce himself. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, so I came here, toured this place
in 2020,
because I moved in July 3rd, which was my birthday. Okay. So that's like when we painted like the walls. Like, that's what I spent my 25th birthday doing. And I remember thinking, I'm just like, oh God, like, how can I afford this place? You know, like, let me just take it like each month at a time. And, you know, like, if 3 months goes by and things don't work out, like, you know, at least I tried. At least I like gave it a shot.
Yeah, that's how I was with that go too.
Yeah.
Let's just try.
4.5 years later, I'm still in the same spot.
Exactly. 100%.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah, so Matthew Wegner is the guardian angel
of
sure. Echo Collective. I'm sure he's a lot of people's guardian angel, but genuinely, like, there's no way we would exist without him. He's actually one of the people that taught me you should just ask for it, because the answer might be yes. And he didn't teach me that by telling me that. I just felt like ballsy enough to ask him for something kind of major, and he just went, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. And now I've been doing that, just asking people, and a lot of people say yes.
Yeah.
And doors open that you didn't think would ever open.
Yeah, it's the same of just like, don't box yourself out of possibilities, you know, because sometimes like there are moments where I would think like, you know, like, am I worth this? Like, do I really deserve this? Like, can I do this? Right? Like, can this really happen for me? You know, like, and just taking that risk and, you know, just asking and saying yes. So how do you stay motivated and inspired in complexities? Because I mean, like, things are constantly shifting with nonprofits, and economics play a role into it, like entrepreneurship and things like that, right? Like, for instance, I don't know, like if somebody wants to start a business where they have some kind of goods that they make, like baked goods, whatever, you know, inflation, things like that. There's a lot of things that like go into it. So like, how do you stay motivated and inspired to continue motivating and inspiring other people to keep going?
Well, it really comes back to the women that I work with. Like, I am astounded by them. And they, like, first of all, they motivate me to show up to work and do my best. But they also deserve the world. And I'm so committed to showing them that they deserve anything they desire. Because a lot of us don't feel that way. Like you just, you know, mentioned, like, you're like, you know, all these great opportunities, but do I deserve this? Should I even try to fight for something better for myself? Because am I worth it? A lot of us feel that way, and it's just not true. And when we look at other people, we know it's not true. Yeah. Like, I would never say that. I'm like, no, you're like awesome. You deserve everything, Jazari. But when you turn your eyes inward, that's when you're like, oh, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure if I deserve this. And so it's just loving the women I work with so much and wanting them to love themselves back. That's just what keeps me motivated.
Good answer. Do you practice these?
No.
Yeah.
I hope they're good answers.
They are.
Sometimes I feel like I just prattle.
I don't know. This is going to sound crazy, but sometimes I do that. Like I stand in the mirror and I'm just like, hey, like, if I was asked this question, how would I answer it? And I like practice.
Well, I didn't have the question, so
No.
I couldn't even practice.
No, I just mean like, I just think of like possible things, or like I'll watch like other interviews that other people do and I'm just like, okay, how would I answer that?
Yes.
You know, and I think about it.
Yes. No, I do have thoughts like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Not the only one. I'm such an overthinker. Like
I'm more like not to take it dark, but like, you know, if all of a sudden there's a threat in the room with me and the ladies, what do I do?
Yeah.
Oh, I think about that all the time.
Right.
Or like if something within the space I'm in, or I think more along the lines of that. And I feel like with words, something will come out. And I'm authentic enough that even if it's not smooth and gracious, at least it'll be me.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
So, but I do think about like what would happen if someone came in and yada yada.
So I do want to talk about today's political landscape with everything going on, because you do serve a population of refugee and immigrant women. How do you think that climate has affected the challenges of immigrants and refugees in Nebraska? From just like the political climate, the rhetoric that we hear, like how has that kind of impacted the things that you have seen, like on a firsthand basis?
And are we considering, like, are we just thinking about the last week? The last 4 days, actually?
I mean, I feel like, so you started Echo Collective in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, the previous administration, which I guess is a new administration now too, has started amping up that rhetoric toward that community, the refugee and immigrant community. And it really skyrocketed during this past campaign, season and trail, to where a lot of people have been thinking that immigrants, migrants, refugees, just people who have come to the country are responsible for their unsuccess, because I don't want to say failure. I mean, you've heard like people coming and taking opportunities away from Americans and things like that. And what is the impact that you have seen? So I guess to answer your question, for clarification of the question, was just overall, just the shift that the country has moved on to this rhetoric that, immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. Like,
yeah.
Such a wild line.
So my opinion of our neighbors who are talking about immigrants and refugees in terms like, we don't want them here, or they're taking things from people who've been here much longer. Usually how I view that, and generally this is kind of my view of any topic, is if you are hating against an entire population of people, that usually means that you feel like you don't have control of your own life. Because when you don't have control over your own life, or you feel like you're not able to support your family the way you want, it feels very unfair and it feels very unjust. And life is so complicated that you can't, a lot of times it's not your fault if you can't support your family the way you want to. And the easy thing to do is to focus on one thing and say, this is the problem. If we can just fix this problem, as in people who are coming into the country, then I can actually be there for my family the way I want. And unfortunately, that's just not how it works. It's a lot more complicated than that. And a lot of the things that we see in terms of like what's on the news or even social media, it's just blatantly false. In terms of like the percentage of immigrants who have like criminal activity, it's quite low. And actually the statistics are it's lower than American-born people. And so, like, first of all, I understand why people are fighting against immigrants because it's an easy group to target. It's always easy to target the new guy, the weakest one.
The new kid in the school.
The new kid in the school. Yeah, it's easy to do that, but it is wrong. It's not the right way to go. And I do believe that a lot of Americans hold similar values, but this fear of failing your family is getting in the way of us being able to come together with our values. And so how I've seen that affect the women I work with is they came here to have a better life. And they are trying everything in their power to have a better life. And one of the things that they're trying to do is love their neighbor. And they're committed to that. Now, not every immigrant is committed to that because not one group of people all acts the same way. We all know that. However, the majority of the people I have met are trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And so it's really imperative that Echo Collective is there for these women, because when they hear the angry rhetoric on socials or on the news, it is really hard to keep trying to make the best life for their family.
Yeah, it can be very discouraging.
Yeah, I was talking with one of our entrepreneurs yesterday, and she's the type of person that always has like a parable. It's a story about her own life, but it has such depth that it comes across like a parable. And whenever you can like tell when she's about to throw one at you.
Yeah.
And I like prepare myself, you know, like I settle in and like really turn my ears on.
Yeah.
Because they stick with me. And one thing she said was, Kelly, when I found out that I was coming to the US, my uncle sat me down and he said, Fatima, when you go to the United States, you are going to be the Muslim woman. You are going to be the woman wearing a hijab. Act accordingly. And she said, and I have for the last 20 years. I remember that when people look at me, they see the things I do and they think, oh, that's what Muslims do. That's what women who wear hijabs do. That's what women who speak Arabic do. That's what Iraqi women do. And so for the past 20 years, she's woken up every day knowing that people are going to see her as a monolith that represents an entire language group or country or gender with a specific dress preference, right? And so don't think that these women don't think about stuff like that.
Yeah.
When was, you know, there are a lot of people, especially if there aren't a lot of other people like you in a community. There are a lot of us who walk through life knowing we are the, and how unfair that is.
For sure.
But she rose to the challenge.
Yeah.
I do want to say that, like, when you think about the experience of coming here, and if you did go through certain legal processes, so all your paperwork is in order, that's really, really, really hard, and it's really expensive, and it sucks. Now, having the mentality that because I did it means everyone should do it isn't great.
Yeah.
But...
Or even just the mentality of, like, reforming the process to make it, you know, some people don't think that it should be reformed. And it's like, I understand, like, you know, you went through the process, you were fortunate, maybe things fell in your favor, you had the means to be able to do that. But if you recognize how difficult that was and be like, you know what, like maybe this could be streamlined a little bit better, so that, you know, people who are talented, who are gifted, or people who genuinely want to come here to just make a better life for themselves, you know, not disrupt anyone, not cause any problems. They just want to go get a job and be able to take care of their family and not constantly worry about threats to their safety.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And you find it everywhere because, like, to throw this in a completely different sector of society, my husband and I have chosen that we're not going to have biological kids. And the specific word I'm using is we've chosen. A lot of people don't choose. A lot of people don't have the ability to choose. A lot of people end up having a family without a choice. And I get a lot of snide comments and like passive aggressive statements towards me. And I think it's genuinely because, like, being a parent is excruciatingly hard. And my personal opinion is not everyone should be a parent. But a lot of us, for many reasons, don't get to choose. And so if you didn't get to choose, parenting is really hard, and it's affected you in ways that, you know, you obviously can't talk about. You can't be like, man, I love my kids, but if I didn't have them, I might be happier. You know what I mean? Like, that's not something you can say as a parent. Never. And so sometimes it's easy to, like, again, like, throw hate on me. They're like, how come you get to choose and I didn't get to choose? That's not fair. That's not fair that you can choose not to have kids.
Can I ask you why you guys chose that? Is it just like...
I just never wanted kids.
Oh.
Yeah.
But you would adopt kids, right?
So, like, the whole idea was, I'm thinking, like, in my head, okay, like, I'm going to get married, and then I'm going to spend a couple of years with my husband, and then we're going to have kids, and, you know, So I get married, and then it comes time, like, for us to be like, okay, should we have kids? And I felt panicked. I was like, oh my God, this feels bad. Like, the thought of having a child feels bad. Can we just take a year so I can figure out why I'm having this reaction? And my husband, he's amazing. He's like, sure. And so then, and I thought back, and it's like, I've never wanted children, ever.
Did he know that?
No. And oh my God, that's the other way. I am so lucky because, like, if we'd gotten to that point and he'd been like, listen, I've always wanted to be a dad. That's a deal breaker for me. I would have been like, I get it. 100%. I totally respect that. And we would have gone our separate ways. But somehow he was kind of ambivalent. And so then, yeah, we get a year in. I'm like, I don't think I want kids. And then he's like, that's fine. And I'm like, okay, well, you should probably have more of an opinion than that. So then for the next year, I, like, tortured him with all these what ifs. Yeah. Like, what if what if in 10 years I divorce you and you realized, oh my God, I really wanted kids and I was with the wrong woman? Or what if I die? Like, all these crazy situations. Like, you have to think about that because it's a big decision to make. And so I tortured him for a year with all of these what ifs, and he's still like, that's fine. So I was like, okay.
That's literally what he said, that's fine.
Yeah, he's just cool with it. So basically my outlook is, like, if I wake up tomorrow and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to have children. Fortunately, like, I'm in my mid-30s. There's still time left that it could happen, potentially. And if not, then I could move into adoption. Yeah. So I'm not saying never, but at the same time, I am in my mid-30s and I've never wanted kids, so it's unlikely it would happen. Oh. But that's just the space I'm living in.
Okay, so I always ask people this question, like, because I've met a lot of people who are kind of who are in the same boat, open to adoption, things like that. I've always wondered, because I've always thought this was cool, like, would you guys ever have, like, foreign exchange students that would come, like, live with you guys for maybe, like, a year or two and stuff like that, and, like, have somewhat of that kind of relationship, but, like,
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Like right now, so yeah, I've had a lot of very lucky things happen to me.
Yeah.
And another one of them was my husband and I bought a house actually before we were married in 2014 when the interest rates were like pretty low. And then we refinanced like 2 years later when they were like even lower. And the bank was like, looked at our income and they're like, and they gave us like nothing. And so we bought a house for nothing. And now in this climate, it's like, thank God we have it. And but it's like the basement floor like really isn't livable.
Yeah.
So we have the top floor, we have 2 bedrooms and a bathroom, and it's a tiny little house and we love it. It's perfect. But in the future, if we're ever able to like put money in it, so I would feel comfortable having another human in there.
Yeah.
Then yeah, for sure. Like that would be, but I mentioned them earlier, but I have 3 goddaughters.
Yeah.
And I'm always thinking about them, like thinking about, and they're Arab, they're Arab Muslim. And so like, I'm thinking about, at that time, like when she's like had it living with mom and dad, she's in college, but she's not married yet. And like, she's not gonna be able to live on her own. I think that's a family decision that's already been made. They might let her live with me in my basement if I can like refurnish it to have like be like an apartment or something. So I'm always thinking about them.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of like, they're where I put all of that motherly energy, and the money, and
that's nice.
The worry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And they're young, right now, or?
No, the oldest graduated high school. She's 17.
Oh, wow.
And the youngest is 10.
Okay. Mm-hmm. How long have you been their godmother?
Well, first of all, I do want to say that I self-identify myself as their godmother, and they have accepted it.
Okay.
I think they would say that they love it.
Yeah.
Right. I truthfully think that they would say that because we have a very close relationship. Very, very, me and their parents too, like family. Mm-hmm. But I met them in 2017, so 7 years.
Wow. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your personal role models and how have they influenced your work?
So one of my role models, okay, I should just say, I don't know why, but I am not someone who has role models. I know it's very strange, and it's probably a red flag. But I've never been like, oh, I should be more like them. Yeah. Never. Never, never, never. I've looked at someone and I've seen, I like how they handle themselves in public situations. I should work on that in myself. But I never look at a person and think, oh, I want to be more like that person.
Yeah. I guess that's a better way to put it. I mean, so you draw inspiration from different people.
From everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Yeah, for sure. Now that I think about it, I'm like, do I have like a role model?
Yeah. Because you can draw inspiration from literally everyone. If you try hard enough and you believe in yourself hard enough, you can be president of the United States. That's inspiring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like there's not someone in my life where I look at them and like, they like can do no wrong. They are amazing. I love them so much. I feel like I really see people for who they are. And I like them because of that. Mm-hmm. But one thing that really, really has changed my life is in 2013, 2014, when I was kind of starting my career, I started thinking to myself, because, okay, I would be in moments, we all have these, and you'd like think back about something you did, and you'd just be like mortified.
Yeah.
You're like, why did I do that? That was so stupid. And I thought I should stop doing things that make the future me die with embarrassment. I should just like stop that. And so I've tried. I'm someone who embarrasses himself a lot. but I've tried to stop doing that, and that's helped. So I always think like before I enter an argument, or before I do this or do that, I think, okay, will Kelly in a year be proud of this? And if she won't, then you need to change your attitude.
Right. Wow.
So I live for myself in 1 year, 2 year, 5 years. That's who I am trying to make proud, is myself.
Is that the advice you'd give to your younger self? Like, think about how this in this moment you'd feel, 10 years from now?
Yeah. Wow. And go to therapy.
Yeah. We could all use more therapy.
Yeah.
This is a form of therapy.
Yeah. I needed a professional though.
Yeah.
Because I self-therapized. That's not a word. I gave myself therapy for 10 years, which will do in a pinch, but it's not great because then it makes you really clinical towards yourself.
Sure.
And sometimes it can kind of like numb your feelings.
Yeah.
And you have to feel to be a person. You cannot be a full operational person without feeling emotions.
Right.
So I wish I would have done it sooner. But it's okay. I started last year.
Yeah. Sometimes I think about that too. I mean, just like, now, Jazari, you probably shouldn't have said that on that live stream, but it is what it is. I mean, like, that I used to live stream a lot. And I never watched those live streams again.
Oh.
I lived in the moment, and that was it.
Would you just like I would forget what I would say. Like, I'm going to forget everything that happens here. I'm going to have to watch it back to be like, I don't even know what we talked about.
No, I mean, like, so for instance, when I would stream like protests and things like that were going on, I would like be giving commentary and saying things. And sometimes I'd be like, it was a little crazy. Or my mom would call me and be like, why would you say that? Like,
oh, I love that mom is watching your live streams.
When we did the election night live stream, she called me in the middle of the live stream, and I told the guys, I was like, watch, my mom is going to call me. I'm like, I don't know if she doesn't believe that I'm actually live. So she like called me. What are you doing? I'm live. She's like, oh, I've been watching. I was like, what did you think I was doing? But
just checking on you.
Yeah. And they started laughing. They're like, yeah, you did say that was going to happen every time, all the time. But yeah, I never watched. Very, 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 very rarely. Like, I've had people for other opportunities or things be like, hey, like, can you send us like some kind of like reel or whatever of like the live stuff that you did? And I'll like cut pieces and stuff like that. But never have I ever like sat back down and watched an entire live stream that I did from start to finish. Ain't that crazy? Because I just live in the moment and just.
Well, if you live stream a lot, that'd be a lot of time.
Yeah.
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 I love situations like this. I love one-on-one time with people. And then it's also nice to create content that can like live out there so people can get to know me, who I am beyond
for sure
the newspaper articles and like, just the like really 2D stuff.
Well, I do have a couple more questions. I do want to ask you about because you talked about the other stuff, like you being on this list of being able to go to like any embassy whenever they like hit you up, brushing up on your Espanol.
Yeah.
That's so cool. You'll have to let me know how that pans out. I really want to know.
Yeah.
But you're also an Obama fellow.
I'm an Obama leader.
An Obama leader.
Yeah, to clarify. I'm not. They might have had a fellows program before, but they were very clear. We're not fellows. It's a different program. Or maybe it was before, but yeah.
Tell me about that.
Absolutely wild. I had someone, actually one of our funders, who knows someone who was in it last year. She sent me the link. She's like, Kelly, you should apply. I open it. I'm like, okay. Like, I really respect this funder, so I'll apply. But it's like, I'm not going to get in. So I apply. It's like, obviously a lot of essay questions. And I applied in like February or something last year. And then in April, I get an email and they're like, hey, you passed the first round and we want to have a Zoom interview with you. And I'm thinking, well, that's super cool that I made it through the first round, but I'm sure they have like a bazillion interviews. And I wasn't, not like I was being like self-deprecating. I'm just like, this is huge. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to make it
Like,
in
this
this.
is the Obama leadership.
Yeah, are you
program.
kidding
Yeah.
me? And so then I did the interview, and that was like psychological warfare because the
Not
folks,
psychological warfare.
yes, the folks who interviewed me were so nice that I felt like they were gaslighting me. I was so confused because they'd ask me questions like, you know, how do you center inclusivity in your organization? And then I'd answer, and they'd say, that was so profound. And I'm thinking, was it? Like, like, I'm not saying it was a bad answer, but like profound. And then I started getting kind of freaked out because I'm like, am I tanking that? Like, am I doing a horrible job and they feel bad for me? And so that's why they're like trying to be super nice to me. So I'm like, all these thoughts. And then I get off the call. I'm like, that was bad. That was so bad. You know, like, it was just confusing. And then in August, I get an email. They're like, you're in.
4 months later.
Yeah. So I applied in February, got in August. And so it's 100 people in the United States. This is the second year of the U.S. program. There's a program in Europe, Southeast Asia, Africa. 3. I guess that's 3. Yeah, because there's not one in Latin America. So there's 3 other programs, and they've been going for a while. So this is just the second year of the U.S. program. And yeah, so total out of all the programs, there's 212 of us, like global leaders, and there were over 6,000 applications. Yeah.
Worldwide or in the U.S.?
Worldwide. Wow. Yeah. So it's just wild. Like, so we Zoom once a week, sometimes twice a week. And these people, these other leaders are mind-bogglingly amazing. Like, there's this one woman, her name's Ashley, and she's in Pittsburgh, and she started an organization, and I'm actually going to go on her podcast sometime in the next couple of months, but I'm going to go on her podcast, and she started an organization called the Queen's Gambit, and it's teaching young women how to play chess because there's not a lot of women in chess. And like she was in like the Times 30 under 30 or something. Is what Times? What is it?
Forbes 30 under 30.
Forbes. Yeah. She was in the Forbes 30 under 30. Like, every person in there is like that. And then I'm just like sitting there, you know, and I'm like, I won the Young Professional Award, you know, which is amazing. And I'm very proud of myself, but I'm literally next to people who are like 30 under 30 from Forbes.
You know what? Either way, though.
Yeah.
You beat out everyone under the age of 40 to be named Lincoln's Young Professional of the Year. Think of it that way.
No, I was truly so honored, but it is interesting when you're with people who have achieved such greatness at such a young age. It's like it's an honor. It's really an honor.
Wow. So what legacy do you want to leave behind then?
I want people to have grown in their ability to love themselves and love others because of their time with me. Very broad, but that's ultimately what I want.
Yeah. Just a legacy of love.
Yes.
I love that. I'm not gaslighting you. Oh, wow. So you like to travel, right? Like
I love
experience new
to travel.
places.
Yeah.
So, okay. When the now Refined & Co., when you were getting that space ready.
Oh my gosh.
I remember I came down, I was walking around here one night. I think I was on my way in or my way out. And you and your husband were in there.
It was like 8:30 p.m. or something.
Yeah. You and your husband were there and you're like, I got to get this done because we're going to Japan.
That whole store was an example of if you just ask for it, you'll get it. And also like a warning. If you ask for it, you'll get it. Because like my ladies had been harassing me, bullying me to get a retail store for years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I will. Like, I don't have bandwidth for this. I'm walking by that space downstairs and like, I never saw the tenant in there. And I kind of noticed they used the space like mostly for storage.
Yeah.
And, you know, they have an exterior door. And I thought that's too bad that they don't really see clients there. You know, maybe they would move to like an interior office.
Space, yeah.
So then that could be someday a retail store. This is in October, okay? October of 2023. So then I send a message to Lisa and I said, hey, you know, do you think this tenant would ever consider moving to a different unit? Because that would be such a great place for a store, for the shop, for the for the ladies. And then she gets back to me like a week later. And she's like, yeah, I'll have keys to you November 1st. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God, what have I done?
Whoa.
And yeah, I was going to Japan for 10 days in November. And I'm not just going to be like, I know, ladies, it's peak retail season, but we're just going to let it pass on by.
Yeah.
And we'll open the shop in January, which is, you know, dead retail season.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay. We're going to have a ribbon cutting December 1st. You know, we're going to get the Chamber of Commerce in here, those scissors, snip, snip. And we're going to, you know, but we have a month to do it, to paint, to put in shelves, everything. And I was going to be gone for 10 days out of that month.
Wow.
Yeah.
You made it happen.
Barely.
No, you made it happen. Not barely.
Well, the ladies made it happen too, obviously.
Well, yeah.
But it was...
The team made it happen.
Yeah. Like to go from someday it'd be nice to have a retail store.
Right.
To all of a sudden be like,
hey, you got keys.
You have 20 days. You have 20 days. And not only that, so the paint, it needed repainted really bad because it'd been a while and the walls were all scuffed. And then they had that the wrong paint color marked for that suite, that flat. And so they gave me a big can of paint and they're like, wasn't enough for all the walls. So I tried to touch up, but it was the wrong color.
Oh, geez.
And then they're like, you didn't stir it well enough. So then I stirred it and repainted and it was still the wrong color.
Did you end up just like going and getting a new color then, or?
Yeah, I was like, what color do you have a lot of? And I'm just going to paint the whole thing. Yeah. The whole thing. And so they gave me one and I painted everything. But that was like one of the many things. And then I was like, we need a point of sale system.
Your husband was helping you like through all of it though, right? Like he came in and
oh man, that poor guy. Actually, I have stopped asking him for help on things like within this past year or so.
Really?
Because I feel so bad for how much I've asked of him. Even though he'd still do it.
Yeah.
And he'd still do it like nicely.
Yeah.
He's kind of a saint. I feel like I was taking advantage of him. So I haven't really asked for much help at all this year. I've just done it myself.
But hey, he knows it's important to you. And
yeah,
if that's how he can support you through it, like by helping you paint some walls.
Do a lot. Like he built the little like bench platform and the lattice work and stuff, which we're going to change it over the next month or so. We're doing like a glow up at the shop.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. So he's pretty handy with that kind of stuff then.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he likes puzzles. So if you give him like, hey, I want you to build this, you know, he likes sketching it out and we have enough of the tools needed. So he just makes it in our garage.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I have some fun questions now to kind of like round it out and
round it up and round me up.
Texting or talking?
Talking.
Yeah.
I'm so bad at texting.
Really? I mentally respond a lot.
Get really stressed out thinking about texting. Because it's like, I grew up with the little keyboards on the phone.
That T9 text, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And you don't have to look at your phone.
Yeah.
Because you could feel it.
Yeah.
But like on these modern screens, it's just like tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
Like back, it takes me forever to make a text.
I don't do the text to talk a lot, but I mean, I used to be so good at texting. Like, I'm talking like, and now that I think back on it, like I would look at my like phone bill or whatever and be like, oh, you sent like, 1,500 text messages or that's how many you had. And now it's like surpassed that by like a lot just because of like what I do for work and stuff like that.
My
Constantly
WhatsApp is at least 20, 25 people a day on WhatsApp.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And like my data usage is always over 100 gigabytes a month.
Oh
like
I'm sure.
that unlimited data. Oh,
yeah.
Jeez. Favorite day of the week?
Thursday.
Why?
I don't know. Thursday just has such promise. I don't know. Yeah. It's like Thursday it's a day where you get a lot done. I feel like it's a very personable day. Mm-hmm. It's also a very sexy day.
What do you mean by that?
See, it just is. Like, it's a great day. Like, Saturday can also, no, Friday. Friday can also be sexy, but Friday can also be regretful. I don't know.
That's also so funny. Oh my gosh. Favorite city in the U.S.?
Lincoln.
Besides the one you live in.
Oh, God.
What's a city you've been to a lot?
A lot would probably be like Denver, Fort Collins, and then Colorado Springs is getting up there because my siblings live in Fort Collins and Colorado Springs. And I lived in Denver for a year, and my parents lived there for 10 years.
So your parents don't live in Lincoln, or
they moved back.
They moved back.
So they are here. Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. Cool. What is a nickname they used to call you? Like your parents or siblings or family?
I didn't really have a nickname. Like sometimes my dad would call me Kelcat, but he hasn't done that since I was like in elementary school.
Oh. So they just call you Kelly.
Yep. Boring.
What's your middle name?
Renee.
Kelly Renee. Okay. I feel like I knew that. I feel like I've seen that.
That was my Facebook name for a long time.
Yeah.
And then I just changed it to my legal name when I made it like a public profile in September.
Kelly Ross.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people thought my last name was Renee because I had it that way for 15 years.
Mm. People think my last name is Kual, but that's my middle name.
I thought that was your last name.
Mm-mm.
What's your last name?
Zachariah. My name is my name. So I have two middle names. My dad's first and last name is my middle name.
Oh.
So my name is Joseph Kual Majok Zachariah. But that's like so long. So Jazari is an anagram of Joseph and Zachariah.
What? That's cool. Well, how long have you been called Jazari though?
My social media names were that like since 2015, 2014. But like I also wasn't like living a public life like that.
Yeah.
You know, like it wasn't until like.
So people called you Joseph before?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Is that wild to imagine?
Yeah, because Joseph is like, it's a common name, you know what I mean? And you're just like such a fun, unique person that Jazari fits you really well.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you. Because I was having like an identity crisis about this like last year.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was. When I was in Phoenix, like it was a whole thing. Like like what we did. And I was talking to our executive director. I was like, Pauline, like, I don't know. Like, what should my name be on this, like, you know, investigation report? Like,
yeah.
What should it be? You know? So we just sat there, we thought about it. She's like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, I've never had this happen before. Like, and I remember like researching, like, okay, do journalists go by like pen names? Like, and I started like looking at all this stuff and I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then it was like a whole thing.
Yeah.
Like I had a whole like.
Well, it's like if someone Googles you, what's going to have the most hits? And probably Jazari Kual would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you go by like, so you go by first name Jazari, last name Kual, like in the media sphere.
But I never said that was my last name.
Sure. It's just what people assumed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just let them assume that. I just never like said anything. But like on Instagram and Twitter, those other things, I have just Joseph Kual Zachariah, but my handle is Jazari Kual.
Huh.
I don't know.
It's good to be complicated.
But it's also just like, I feel like being transparent because somebody once told me, they're just like, you're a liar. And I was like,
listen, they had some inner demons they were working through and they threw that on you. That is like.
There was like a whole thing.
There was like a Reddit thread about me What? Oh my gosh, people need to get a life.
Yeah.
Get a life.
It was wild. And I'm just like, that's weird to say out loud. I'm just like,
I also raging against like Cher and Prince and, you know,
Nicki Minaj.
How dare you use a name that is not your real name?
The Rock.
What celebrity uses their real name? Rarely they use their real name.
I don't know.
Huh.
Crazy, huh?
Well, you're in a safe space here.
Oh, man. Last song you downloaded.
Ooh, downloaded?
Wait, what kind of music do you listen to?
That is like an old person question.
Wait, hold on.
What do you mean downloaded?
Actually, never mind. Added to your playlist.
Streamed?
Added to your playlist.
Okay, so my friends really like karaoke.
Uh-huh.
So I have a Spotify playlist that's my karaoke songs.
Okay.
My go-tos, because otherwise I forget. And so I added Dance with Somebody, Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston.
Want to dance with somebody.
To my karaoke playlist.
Okay.
And it's tricky because I hang so well. Like, it's a perfect song for me until the key change. The key change loses me. It's like, girl, why? Granted, I miss key changes in songs.
Yeah.
When I hear a key change, I get really nostalgic. I'm like, oh, yes, we used to have key changes in songs. Yeah. I don't know. So that was the last one I added.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do karaoke. Me and my friends would do karaoke downstairs, like in the resonator.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's fun.
Like, just get the mic and then just like plug in your computer to the projector and go to YouTube and just hit a karaoke song. We would just randomly do it. Yeah.
Okay, so what's your favorite song to sing? What's your go-to?
Oh man. What is my favorite go-to song? It changes. I feel like I sing like a lot of like the same songs that I like sing. So like I'll hear a song, get super like into it, and it just changes.
What's your range like? Do you have a good range?
I think so.
That's nice. I have
Are you a singer, Kelly?
I like to sing.
Sing me something.
No.
You said you're a yes girl.
You'll have to catch me at karaoke.
Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know. I'm looking through this and I just... Daylight by David Kushner.
How does it go?
Oh. Jeez, I just kind of know the chorus and I just bust out singing every once in a while. Oh my God. Wait, the Wicked songs. I went and watched Wicked.
Oh, yeah. No, Popular's on my list.
Yeah.
Because it was really popular.
Yeah.
Like my senior year of high school, that's when like it was the Wicked frenzy. And so we did a bunch of the songs from the musical for my senior choir. So yeah, I like Popular, and I like to like when I do karaoke, I sing it to my husband.
Aww.
Because he's the one I'm trying to make popular. No, truly, I'm like his agent too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, you should do this, and you should do this, and then he goes, no.
Is he kind of a more like quiet, reserved guy, like not very out there?
He's just really amicable.
Yeah.
Yeah, like go with the flow sometimes, but there's some things that are like hard no's. Like don't even think about it.
What, singing karaoke or?
No, he actually sings. He's in an octet, so he sings karaoke.
Oh. Like
we always do the duet, like "Shallow" with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. We always do that one. That's like one of our go-to duets. Yeah. No, just no. It's basically like if he doesn't want to do something, or like if we're out to dinner and I'm like, oh my gosh, this dish is so good, you have to try some. He'd be like, no, over my dead body, and it's like, okay, bro.
Whoa, okay.
Okay, bro. But usually he's like really relaxed. There's just some things he's like, will not try.
But that song, it goes, Oh, I love it and I hate it at the same time. You and I drink the poison from the same line. Da, 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 da. Something like that.
Which one?
Daylight by David Kushner.
Is that the one like in the chorus? It's like the daylight, daylight, daylight.
No.
Oh.
Ooh, that was good.
I don't know what song that is. That's in my head. That it's probably a different word, and I'm just
Yeah.
like adding the word
Daylight.
I don't know.
But yeah, no, the Wicked songs. Oh my gosh, that movie is so good. Popular. You're gonna be popular.
I know, it's such
I'll teach you the proper
obnoxious
parts.
song. Yeah.
But Ariana Grande had a song called Popular on her Yours Truly album that was modeled after that.
Really?
Or like it was sampled from that. But yeah, it was her and some other guy, which I don't even know who that guy is anymore. But like, I mean, because clearly she like took off.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Oh yeah, because I remember there was like an interview with her where she was talking about Wicked and how much she loved Wicked, and this was a long time ago, like back when she was white, and how like she would absolutely love to like be in it, and so it's like a dream come true, the fact that she was in it.
I like how you just slipped that in there.
You know.
Yeah.
It's the truth. It's the truth.
Cynthia Erivo was so good. Did you watch Wicked? The movie? Are you not a movie person?
I don't like musicals.
What?
I know.
No. You have to watch this one.
I'm a Leo rising. What that means to interpret, that means I want to be the one on stage.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch other people. I don't know. I have a weird thing about, I love Disney movies, but anything else, like if you're watching a movie or those TV shows where all of a sudden they start breaking out in song, immediately no. I turn it off. I'm never watching it again. I hate it.
But I think what was so good about this is like, it just, something about it too just felt, this was, okay, so this is the first time that I like went to a movie to watch like a musical like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that it was done in the vocal performance, it's just not like, it was really good.
Maybe.
It was really good. And just like,
I'd see it on Broadway.
yeah, the acting, and they sang live.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was just so good. You have to watch it.
I don't know.
You have to watch it. You have to watch it. So good.
When it comes out on streaming,
Yeah,
I'll start it so then I can stop it and then never resume it.
but you might actually get into it, because I think the thing too is like, yeah, there are moments where they break out into, you know, songs like just out of nowhere. But there's times where it's like, it's a really, really emotional scene, and it kind of just like bleeds into it, you know? Like, there was a moment where like Elphaba was like crying, which I guess they said was impromptu, because the way they described it was like, it feels so real in the moment. Like, you get into this character, it feels real.
Have you seen their interviews?
Yeah.
And then the videos making fun of their interviews?
Yeah, we would have been like,
yeah.
they just start crying.
They're like lying on each other and like crying and
Yeah.
I respect that though. I respect that. Yeah, the fact that she was so into her character and they had an incredible bond. Like that's why the movie's so amazing.
Yeah.
Is because it was authentic.
Yeah, you could tell they really, really put in the work for it.
Yeah.
That battle cry, you probably heard it everywhere.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm really picky about like vocalists. I'm very picky about pitch. Like Alicia Keys, love you, but pitchy as hell. Like I just can't. I can't do it.
Did you see her Super Bowl performance? Like they said, the first key was like off key.
No, I can't.
First note
Like
was off key.
Girl on Fire, so pitchy.
This girl is on fire.
Oh, it's so bad. She's just like a smidge off, just like a baby smidge. And so, yeah, I don't know.
Are you saying you have perfect pitch, Kelly?
No. I
was about to say
I do not. No,
But you have an ear for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like when I sing, I'm flat or I'm sharp. Like I'm all over the place. But I feel like it just kind of grates on me when someone doesn't have. Okay, Sarah Bareilles has incredible pitch. Like Josh Groban. Like come on, Josh Groban, perfect pitch.
Beyonce?
Beyonce, no.
But she's also doing a whole lot, like, at the same time.
Yes. I'm not saying any of these people are bad singers.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's something that really sticks out to me.
Yeah.
And I can't overlook. There are other things I can overlook that I'm sure would bother other people,
Yeah.
but
Her song Vegas is so good.
Beyonce's?
No. Sarah Bareilles.
Oh.
Gonna sail my car and go to Vegas. Somebody told me that's where dreams would be.
Is it like
it's called Vegas?
newer or
no, it's like an older
old
song.
school? Okay, that's probably
And then there's also
my husband turned me on to Sarah Bareilles.
Really?
Yeah, we went to see her when she was at Pinewood Bowl, and that was right before Waitress came out. That was like 3 months before Waitress hit Broadway, and she sang a song because she wrote the music for Waitress, and she sang a song that's also one of my karaoke songs, and I broke down.
Like in tears?
Yes, like sobbing uncontrollably.
It was that good.
Just the words were just so touching.
Yeah.
And it freaked my husband out so bad because we were like newly married.
Aww.
And I'm just sobbing, and he's like giving me a side eye and kind of looking at me like, should I do something?
Oh my gosh.
It's called She Used to Be Mine.
Yes, I've heard that song.
Yeah.
She wrote that?
Yeah.
Wow, I have to go listen to that again. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, Sarah Bareilles is good. And then her song Sitting on the Dock on the Bay. Sitting in the morning sun. Have you heard that song?
My husband definitely has.
Evening comes, watching the ships roll in, and then I watch them roll away again. Ooh, I'm gonna sit by the dock of the bay. It's so good.
You know your music really well. I don't. I'm like that one song by that one person. I really like it.
Yeah.
That's why Spotify saves me. That's where I put my stuff, and I can open it up and be like, yes, this is the name and the artist.
I don't know. I'm an Apple Music person.
Oh yeah.
You Spotify?
Yeah. I don't really have a preference. I don't know. It's just what I use.
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is interesting. Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or
Yes.
be able to talk to animals?
And speak every language in the world.
Yeah.
That's like my answer to like the one superpower
Yes.
is that. I would say fly. However, I believe that when I pass, I'm obviously going to fly like everywhere.
Yeah.
Easy, right? And when I pass, like we're not going to need language anymore. So I can't really do that. So I'm going to save that for my earthly existence. And then flying will be when I'm just spirit.
I never thought of it that way.
I have a game plan. I have a superpower game
You have
plan.
it all mapped out, huh?
Yeah.
Are you a dawn or dusk person?
Dawn.
Me too. Well,
Oh
I
my
like the
gosh, I love
sunsets,
it.
but like dawn is amazing.
Yeah. I've really started to appreciate it. Like last year, I started going to the gym at 6. Because, I mean, the sun's basically up by then, you know, when it's summertime. And so, and it was just, it feels so good because, you know, the temperature would be perfect, the window's down, the sun's coming up. Yeah, that's one of my favorite times in the summer.
Wow. My tribal name means dawn.
Really?
Yeah. Like dawn, first light, things like that. Like that's kind of just what it like means. Yeah.
What is your tribal name?
It's Phabec.
Uh-huh.
Phabeck.
And like, tell me more, like, what does that mean? Like, why do you have a tribal name and then you have like a legal name?
Okay, so every from what I understand and what I've like seen, every South Sudanese kid, depending on the tribe they're at, they have like a tribal name that's given to them. So my mom named me Joseph, and then I have you know, the rest of my name, but my Dinka name is Phabec. So like if you have an American name or English name, you always have that, or sometimes you just have that tribal language and that's it. So I guess it's just a part of the culture. Like I have a niece, her name is Mercy, but she also has a name in Nuer that her dad gave her, my brother-in-law gave her. So, yeah.
So if you were still living in South Sudan, like different world, different time, would you just be known as Febek then?
Probably. Well, I mean, that probably would have been the name that was given to me.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so you wouldn't have two names. So then having two names is more like acknowledging the fact that you're going to have to move a certain way in the world.
Yeah.
And like honoring that cultural piece. Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Yeah. And I guess like they said it's a really special name and like only one person in our family at a time can have that name. Like,
that's like, amazing.
I mean, that's what I was told, or maybe I didn't understand it correctly, but that's like what they told me. They're like, that name isn't like just given to anybody. Like it's a very, very special name that's like really treasured. Because I mean, the meaning of like dawn, like a new dawn, like first light, like new beginnings, like, you know, like a new thing. And I think it's because I'm the only one out of like my cousins on my dad's side that was born here in the US. Right. So like I was the only one, you know, like I was the only one of my grandpa's grandchildren that like was born out of the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy, huh? Favorite holiday?
I actually don't like holidays.
Really? Why?
I'm trying to think of a holiday I do like. I'd say Galentine's Day.
Really?
Yeah.
No Christmas? No Thanksgiving?
No. Thanksgiving is really weird to me.
Really?
It just feels so messed up.
Okay.
To like, just like why it started. And I understand if people find a lot of meaning, obviously, in like being with family and getting together and, you know, that's the significance of this day and not necessarily why it started. But I kind of get caught up in that and like how it started and like thinking of like all these American families celebrating Thanksgiving, and then we have all these like indigenous people in our nation who've totally been screwed over and continue to be screwed over. Are they celebrating Thanksgiving? Sorry.
Looks into the camera.
Oh gosh, yeah, Toot did that plenty of times.
Well, okay, I mean like 4th of July.
I do not like fireworks. I hate loud noises.
Okay.
I'm like a chihuahua. It scares me. I shake.
Aww.
I run in the corner.
You said Galentine's Day?
Yeah.
What is that like?
It's when you celebrate the ladies in your life.
Okay.
I used to do like a big thing. Like I'd throw like a party and go all out. And I haven't done that in a while because I'm really...
You got a lot going on, yeah.
But Echo throws a Galentine's Day party.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Mm.
And then you have to go out and fix it for other people. Finally, you need to let yourself let go of that hurt and enjoy who you are. I think that's what I would say.
Wow. Nothing else to add. Kelly Ross, thank you so much.
Go out, folks, and figure out what hurt you the worst.
Well, I interpret it as like grow from something that, or like find beauty in something tragic, right?
I don't know. I feel like a really beautiful way to recover from pain is to heal others.
Yeah.
And of course, we have to heal ourselves, but sometimes through the act of healing others, you heal yourself.
Sure. It's amazing. You're really good at this. Yeah.
Thanks.
This was so much fun. Thank you so much for coming and
thank you so much
chatting.
For having me.
Yeah, I learned a lot.
Did you? Okay, good.
Well, yeah. I mean, like the volcano and all of that.
The volcano. We go right back to literally the first thing we talked about.
The volcano, just everything with Echo Collective, the Obama leaders, you know, being a part of that. And, you know, congrats again for being named Lincoln's Young Professional of 2024.
Thank you.
Really good honor, high honor. And yeah, thank you for being an inspiration to the community and everything that you do. And
likewise,
you are a treasure, and do not undercut yourself about that.
That's a wrap.
That is a wrap. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sweet. Next on the Jazari Kual Show. She's a force in progressive politics, a champion for rural America, and now she's leading the charge on the national stage. Jane Clubb, activist organizer, chair of the Nebraska Democratic Party, and the newly elected president of the ASDC, joins me to break down the fight for rural voters, the future of the Democratic Party, and what's at stake in 2026 and beyond.
I am convinced if the Democratic Party in Nebraska had not spent resources, we knew the voters, right? And we knew that those races and those voters were critical for her, not only Spivey and the other Democrats to win, Will Harris to win, we would have lost the blue dot.
This is a conversation you won't want to miss.